you want more?
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
We Go to 11 recently had an opportunity to speak with Fifth Angel bassist John Macko about their new album, When Angels Kill, recently released via Nuclear Blast. He's a super fun guy to talk to, pretty laid back. Got an opportunity to share a little bit about some of the behind the scenes and his involvement in the recording of this record. Check out at the tail end, there's a pretty cool story. When I asked him about any Spinal Tap moments that he's experienced, it's hysterical. Thanks for checking out the interview. Feel free to share it, comment, and definitely subscribe. Thanks.
All right. Well, here we go. All right. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for your time. I know Ken had something come up, so we'll just pick it up from here. So you guys have this new record, and this one's a concept album, I believe, or there's some kind of there's a ongoing theme throughout. So tell us a little bit about why you went in this direction this go round on this one.
Well, and yeah, this Ken would probably be able to elaborate a little bit more because it was really kind of his idea. But I will say, we have really been kind of kicking around the idea of doing a concept record for a little while. Actually, even at the time that we did The Third Secret, we kind of kicked around the idea. We had kind of come up with a couple of story ideas and what have you. We didn't really feel like the timing was real great since this was going to be our first record back.
Right.
And I'm doing the concept record, rolling the dice a little bit. So kind of felt like maybe we'll stay away from that idea. But that's really where the concept kind of was born. And then Ken has really been kind of working on developing the story really since then. So I would say, 2018, 2019 is when he really kind of started, formulating this. And we didn't even really completely decide when it came time for us to make the second record, we didn't even completely, we weren't sure. We're kind of going back and forth.
Right.
We just, we're like, well, what the hell? What do we got to lose? And yes, it was a bit of an undertaking.
Right.
And we knew we had the time, because of the COVID, things that were going on. So we knew we had the time, and we kind of felt like, well, you know what, we're not getting any younger, and we'll, look, we're going to do it now, or we're probably never going to do it.
Right.
So that was really kind of the whole thing as far as how the idea and why we decided to do it. I know Ken, he kind of had this story where the story involves some characters in a near future or right now. I mean, shoot.
Right.
So these, there's some, love, betrayal, relationships, we have some, geopolitical things going on. And then there is some natural disaster kind of things going on. So it's not a real rosy picture of what, possibly is in store for us. But we also wanted to kind of pull, because Fifth Angel, we've always been kind of talking about some of that kind of stuff, really, even from the very first album. And we really wanted to kind of touch on some of those topics and kind of try to tie some of the older music in, with this concept album. That's really where we're kind of going.
Now, in thinking of this, I mean, obviously, in this day and age, you can make some pretty cool videos for almost nothing, right? Especially if you have the right connections, or if somebody has somebody a relative within the band that's creative and stuff like that. But, you know, as far as something like this, I imagine there's going to be more videos, huh?
Well, I guess that we're going to try. I mean, we shot footage for 4 videos.
Mm,
I mean, we don't have a huge,
right,
we're not Judas Priest
right.
or Iron Maiden. And yeah, if we had, like a super huge budget, we probably could have done more of like an actual storyline,
Hmm.
involving, actors, and
Hmm.
that probably would have been really cool because you could probably make a movie or a short movie out of the
Right,
material on this album. Unfortunately, we really don't have that kind of budget.
right.
So we did shoot video footage, like I said, for four videos. We still have footage left for one more song,
Hmm.
and then I don't know. We're just gonna have to see,
Right.
um, depending upon a record company feels like, hey, we want to put some more money into this, and or we have to come up with
Hmm.
we crowd fund or something like that. The money's got to come from somewhere,
Right.
to continue. Or we could probably just do lyric videos. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never been a big fan of lyric videos, and I just don't think that they're very appealing because they
Right.
really don't tell any kind of a story.
Yeah, for me as a fan, I think what kind of bums me out is when a band does put out a lyric video and it's for a really good song. It almost seems like it's kind of, like not as
I,
what's the and I would don't want to say appealing, satisfying. How's that? It's not as satisfying. It's like, man, it's almost like they blew that opportunity and they put a lyric video and then they'll go and do an actual video and it's for a song that you still like, but it should have been for that particular song that they launched the record for, you know. So how big of a fan are you of some of the past hard rock and metal concept albums? I mean, I think the ones that always come to mind as a metal fan is Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime and Wasp's Crimson Idol and stuff. And both did a lot of footage, kind of as you were kind of describing. I mean, they did a little short
remember back in
film for Wasp. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I'll remember back in those days, the bands had the budgets,
Hmm.
and they were
Right.
able to really do it right. Yes, I don't know the Wasp. I was really never a big Wasp fan. So
Hmm.
I don't know that record. Of course, Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime, still probably my favorite, Reich album today. I love it. I can listen to it over and over, and and it was wonderful.
Right. You mentioned Ken kind of took the lead as far as the concept and the music and songs and stuff like that. How much interaction and participation was there from the other folks in the band, including yourself? And how did that work out in the sense of sometimes people go, we're going to go in this direction, and then people naturally get their feelings hurt or feel like they're left out of a particular tune or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. This album, unlike some, especially the last album,
Hmm.
was really we there was a lot of collaboration. That was the
Hmm.
word. There's
Okay.
actually a lot of collaboration on this album that maybe people don't realize. Yeah, Ken was probably the majority leader in terms of composition and writing, but he certainly, there was for instance, I contributed quite a bit. I would
Hmm.
say I'm probably the second biggest contributor
Okay.
um, to the record. Unfortunately, I'm kind of like I can only write music. I
Hmm.
don't have the gift. That's where Ken really has a
Right.
gift. He really has a gift.
Hmm.
As a songwriter, I actually respect him more as a songwriter than as a world-class drummer. But I really think he shines in this composition because he can really do the whole thing, the whole ball of wax, the music, and most importantly, the vocal parts and of course the lyrics.
Right.
I fall short on lyrics and vocal parts. I just draw a blank, but I'm really good with music. So there's at least five of my compositions musically on this album, maybe six.
Nice.
And so what I would do is I would have these musical frameworks, which is kind of like the basic framework of a song. And I would send that to Ken, and then that's where he really would do his magic. He could just take these musical ideas and then put words to them and put these amazing vocal parts, sometimes shuffling things around. Like what I would hear as a verse, he'd hear as a chorus,
right.
but I'm like, hey, knock yourself, do whatever you want. And then we had some other collaboration in regards also, not only for myself, but now Ethan, who was our touring guitar player. Two of the compositions songs are kind of his basic ideas, but again Ken would take his kind of basic idea and then kind of turn it into almost a totally new song. But it's like, who cares?
Right.
We're all pitching in. We don't have any kind of a problem where somebody's like, well, hey, gee, that's not exactly the way I wrote it. We're all about like, we're going to do what's best for the band, what's going to be best for the album. Who cares? What actually happens. Same thing with Ed.
Right.
Unfortunately, in those 2 years, Ed had a real rough 2 years, just bad luck. He had a lot of health issues. He had family issues. So his contribution was a lot less than he hoped, than we hoped. So he was really only able to contribute, one song idea, which was 5 Days to Madness, which sounds very classic Fifth Angel.
Right.
And then other than maybe just okay, let's try this guitar part this way, just maybe modifying like some of the parts like that. And then we also have Steve Conley from Flotsam and Jetsam. Steve, a tremendous help to this record because when Ed was really not available to work on these songs, and of course, you're on a schedule, Steve was able to fill those blanks in. And he really wound up, first of all, he's a great songwriter on his own, and he's able to really write in the style of Fifth Angel, which is difficult, and Steve just does that very well. But he was really instrumental from Ken's perspective. Ken doesn't play guitar; he just plays keyboard. So he writes these song ideas, whatever he's hearing in his head, he writes on the keyboards.
Right.
Well, that's got to be transposed to guitar. So Steve, living in Phoenix as well, was able to come in and be that tool for Ken. Like, okay, play it like no, play it like this. Yeah. You know what I mean? So really be able to, he was the hands on the guitar, for Ken to be able to compose these ideas. So it was really, invaluable resource. Right. So there was quite a bit of, so as you can see, there's a lot of people contributing ideas. We had, and of course we have different people playing guitar. Actually, some of the guitar parts are actually me. Acoustic parts, that's all me.
Nice.
Some of the electric parts are me. Because when Ed wasn't really available, Ken was like, well, he's like, hey, John, you played the guitar parts well enough. Why go and have Steve Conley retract them
Right.
when already, good. So there's a little bit of everybody kind of in there. And then we brought Jim Dofka, for all of the lead work. And that was mainly because we wanted to really, now Ethan is an amazing guitar player, but he's a little bit style wise, he has a certain style.
Right.
And we really wanted to return to the first album. We wanted that neoclassical Yngwie James Bird. And and Ethan he just wasn't real comfortable with that. And that happens, and so that's why we brought Jim in. Of course, we asked James, but he wasn't into it. And then we brought Jim in, and Jim, I think, he really nailed that style. And I think there's some songs where it really sounds like that first album stuff. And that was kind of one of the big issues with the Third Secret. People really complained. Of course, they're complaining, no Ted Pilot, but hey,
yeah, right.
nothing we can do about that.
But it's weird. I really love that record, and I remember when it came out. I get the advance, I listen to it, and I'm like, I'm going to pre-order it, and I did, obviously, because Fifth Angel, right, or rather, Fifth Angel. My album was Time Will Tell. Growing up in the Northwest, I was a fan of you guys, back then, and then worked my way backwards. And then obviously things changed, band went away, and then you guys reformed. So when I got the last record, Third Secret, I loved it. So I pre-ordered it. One of the things that I had issues with is that it got back ordered, and then it got back ordered, and then finally it took a while to finally get it. But I think that was probably more of something related to the pandemic, because that was a 2018 record, and it got, I saw a bunch of great reviews, myself being one of them that I wrote up for you guys, but I really enjoyed that record.
Yeah, I think it's a great record. And if you were a fan of Time Will Tell, yeah, I could see, because I would say the Third Secret is probably closer to Time Will Tell. And obviously, mainly due to not only songwriting, but because of Kendall. Kendall did all of the guitar work,
right?
And so you have that continuity there. I thought, I think it's a great record. I love it. But a lot of fans did complain about, hey, where's all the big harmony, the guitar work, like from the original album. And so with this album, we really wanted to try to harken back to that, and that's really why we decided to bring in Jim Dofka.
Right. And how would you describe the band's sound? Because you guys have had the neoclassical, a little bit of harder edge rock, even stuff that borders on like power metal. But I mean, you being, a member of the band, if somebody were to ask, how would you describe it? Or is there a word to describe the band's sound necessarily?
I think we're just I use the term when I've talked to people, I just use classic heavy metal. Because, it was funny because somebody, when I'm, looking at all the little, the comments and everything, and people are, saying, oh, they're, a great power metal. And then somebody else replied, he goes, these guys were around before the term metal. And
no kidding.
Be honest, Ruben, I'm not even sure exactly what power metal means. I really couldn't tell you. So we're just a heavy metal band. I don't know.
I think that pretty much sums it up. I think you guys definitely slot in there with even a band like Saxon, if you think of the classic heavy metal bands and Maiden and stuff like that.
I would put us in that ballpark because there weren't, back when we first released our first record, how many bands like this were really, especially from the US, how many bands How many were there? There wasn't that many.
Not many. No, you're right. I mean, you definitely had a unique sound. I mean, you guys, I think that there was another band that had a, somewhat of a edgy kind of metal sound, influenced by, that new wave of British heavy metal, Metal Church.
Yep.
It was another one of those bands that, was unique at the time, especially from that part of the country too.
Right. And I think that the Seattle, and then of course Sanctuary.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh, Sanctuary. Yeah. There you go.
so I think, because if you think about, back then, who are we competing? We're
Mhm.
competing with all of the LA,
Yeah.
glam, Quiet Riot, Motley Crue band. That was our competition.
Right.
And of course, we just didn't even stay. Back then, nobody even knew where Seattle was. They thought it was like in Alaska somewhere. And
That's true.
so I think that was also one of the reasons why Seattle bands, we kind of forged our own, because we needed to do something that stood us out.
Mm.
Because there's no way that we were going to go down to LA and compete with all of that. And we never wrote love songs. We
Right.
never wrote songs about girls, and
Mhm.
because we knew that was already totally saturated. Even though the Epic, even though that's what they were kind of pushing for the Time Will Tell album, and that is
Mhm.
why that album is definitely has that more commercial.
Sure.
That was about as far as we could go, but we weren't really, we wrote from the heart, but again, we could only go so far.
Oh yeah. Right. No, earlier you were talking about how the tunes are put together. It sounds almost like a puzzle. It's like this gets sent and then, it gets arranged a certain way. As far as once you get the final product of the song and or the record, I mean, is there a particular song that you're like, oh boy, if we were to perform whatever song you would have in mind, that's going to be challenging? Is there a particular song that you're like, wow, that would be a challenge to perform that one or recreate it in a live setting?
I think actually the entire album. uh,
Jeez, good luck, you guys. Right?
well, I think the entire album is
Yeah.
totally playable. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
but
Kind of like what we were talking about with Mindcrime. I think when Queensryche went out there, I don't think anybody complained because it was, I mean, it all slotted in just right, and it had this kind of wave of emotions and stuff, right?
especially like if we had the budget to really do it
Hmm.
right, and make an actual, like a show, like a theatrical show, where we could play the thing from the beginning all the way to the end, have actors, with the
Hmm.
doing all this stuff filling in, having, whatever, maybe the big graphics going on in the background, like Halloween does.
Sure. Oh
Um,
yeah. There you
I
go.
think we could definitely do it, but obviously it would that would be a big investment. But I mean, I think that we could absolutely play all of it. Uh,
Hmm.
we could do it, but it would be a lot of freaking work for
Oh
sure.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no kidding. You
And the
guys
songs
had,
are not easy. They
yeah.
actually sound, so actually all of the Fifth Angel, or at least most of the Fifth Angel songs, they're very deceptive because they sound a lot easier than they actually are to
Yeah.
play and pull off
Yeah.
live. Um,
Nice.
you know,
You mentioned, we were talking about power metal. Halloween is an example of what's considered power metal. So I think you guys could even
yeah, it
perform
would,
with them, and
oh,
it'd be a
absolutely.
good gig there for you guys. Uh, s- so, as far as the band, I mean, how much live performance do you hope to do to promote this particular record?
It's
Or
not.
is it a studio only kind of thing? Or I mean, I know Ken's busy, and I'm sure everybody else has their various different things that they do. So that might be challenging.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah, we would absolutely go out and do whatever we needed to do. But it's like it's not a great environment out there right now for for touring and playing live. You know, you got bands that are, you know, having to it's so expensive. I mean, we just had to cancel a couple of shows in Europe because we would have literally lost thousands of dollars, you know. You know, and it's not like we have to make a bunch of money, but I mean,
Sure.
look, I'm retired. I live on a fixed income. I can't
Right.
afford to lose thousands of dollars out of my pocket.
Right.
We're looking at, you know, like a just round trip flight for all five of us to Europe and back is close to $8,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the flights. Okay.
Yeah.
$8,000, you know.
Sure.
And you know, then you got all the other, you know, baggage and food and hotels and transportation. And
Right.
it's so, I know a lot of bands are struggling with that, especially bands from the US.
Mm-hmm.
It's double the cost of like in 2019 when we went to Europe. It's double, you know. So
Yeah.
for US bands to go over there, it's just very challenging. But the short answer is we will absolutely, we want to play live. We want to promote this record. We're really hoping 2024 that we can get, you know, stuff going.
Sure. And definitely, it sounds like something like a festival type setting. It'd probably be right up your alley, right? Because I think it would you'd pick up some new fans along the way.
I mean, you know, look, we don't care. We could, you know, but I mean, you know, we're not going to fly all the way to Europe to play, you know, a club for 300 people. That's not that those 300 people
right
worthy of playing for. You know, I mean, we'll play for anybody who's a fan of the band, but cost effective, we can't do that. But even like you know, like a large club or small arena, a tour that would be totally doable. You know, if we can, but we'd have to have consecutive dates, obviously, to make it cost effective. You know, we can go and we can play for 500-600 people, you know, and you know, bang those out every night in a different town or different country. Sure, we'll go.
Yeah, right. Well, a record is When Angels Kill. It's a concept record, and Nuclear Blast is releasing this. And thanks, John. Before I go, though, I have to ask you, have you ever had a Spinal Tap moment on stage? And if so, what was that like?
Yeah, I've probably had quite a few of them. Let's see, probably one of the real good ones was one time I was playing a club, and I had a fan, you know, during a song, I had a fan kind of come up to the stage, which, you know, people would do that, you know, they come up the stage and they want to, like, you know, request a song or something like that. And anyway, I had a guy, you know, kind of wave at me, and so I went up to the edge of the stage, and it was a pretty high stage, and I kind of kneeled down so I could hear him, and he just clocked me, you know.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, just clocked me. I went down, and you know, and then there was a big brawl. It was kind of like it reminded me of the Motley Crue.
Dirt. You mean on the dirt when they got into that brawl at the club?
Whiskey or something.
Yeah,
like
right.
That. And they were getting booed at, and they all jumped. They had a big. It was just like that. It was literally.
Oh my gosh.
I was like kind of like with the stars going around.
Right.
Like the keyboard player and the guitar player, they jump on the guy, and then his buddies all jump in the. You know, and everybody's like fighting and, you know, punching each other. This was a big club in Hawaii. It was in Honolulu, you know, years ago. And then this big Samoan bouncer comes and he's just taking guys and throwing them, you know, off. But yeah, I had that. And then there was another time where I fell right off the stage, you know, just missed.
Right.
the edge of the stage, and it was probably a good 3 feet, 3 or 4 feet, and I went right off.
Oh, what kind of injury did you sustain for that?
Surprisingly, I did not break my leg.
Oh,
So,
geez. Wow. Just real quick. So did you ever find out why the guy clocked you?
yeah, because I went up and asked him later, later
Yeah.
on, everybody calmed down. I said, hey man, look, he goes, what, yeah, what was the deal? He goes, well, you were, you know, uh, engaging boinking my girlfriend.
I knew it. It always comes down to that, doesn't it?
Bro, I said, I didn't swear to God, I didn't know she left that little minor detail.
Oh no.
He was like in the Navy or something, right? So he
Uh-huh.
didn't have to see for a month,
Oh, geez.
So
Hey, John, thank you for your time, man. We're going to get the links out to everybody. Thanks for stepping in for Ken. He owes you big for this, I think. And we'll get you guys a link, and then you can share it, and we'll post the social media links on there. And again, thank you for your time. It was a blast, and thank you for stepping in for Ken, man.
all right, Ruben, I appreciate you having me on the
All
show.
right. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.